Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on the Supernatural Show, here with my host, co-host, hostess, the mostest, Shannon with Soul 7. And boy, we about wound up. We got a subject that we want to talk about today. It's gonna Part of it is gonna be Shannon discussing some visions she had that are related. But the subject is I probably should have titled it a little bit different, but the subject matter is including the story that we're going to be reading today from Maria and Jose is going to be related to the topic of petrified giants of old and the old ones returning. We've all heard the myths, rumors, all these kinds of things about the Nephilim and those types of things, and I think that there are some signs right now, a lot of signs actually right now that we've got some. We It's possible we're in that time, like the Bible says about the time before of Noah and before there were giants in the land, and these giants were the offspring of the fallen ones, the fallen angels as they're called, and there's signs right now like this green comet that has that is supposedly going to be visible to the naked eye starting in September. The date that they called out was September the 11th as to when it would be visible in the morning time right before sunrise. And from my research, and you can go see some of the work, the first part of the discovery of this and related content on my other channel, Logic Before Authority. And this green comet is supposed to have an orbit where they're saying it will pass directly in front of the sun. And I've seen so much different information. I don't have it all put together in my head yet, or I'd have a video done explaining it all, but I'm working on it. Obviously, typically a normal comet isn't something that is necessarily a problem, but I think there's something possibly unique about this comet because of many reasons, some of which I've mentioned on a few other videos on my other channel. But let's just say that the elites, even in the Super Bowl this year, when they were standing on the gateways, on the windows, and they were lifted up above the stadium. The stadium is in the shape of a point of creation, which is basically a Vesica Pisces, and the stadium is basically a temple in those situations. And they had Rihanna, which has a tattoo of
Isis
on her chest with the wings spread out. And this is Egyptian mythology, you might say, but it's more than myth. It's tied in biblically. It's tied into the old ones. It's tied into the men of renown, and they believe that there will come a day when they will return. And from my research, it's in the form of a green star or a green comet that will show up in the heavens. And this is a lot of times where you go and you look at the imagery out of Egypt, and you'll see that they'll wear something on their head and it'll have a green stone in it or a green thing in it. And it's related to that because they liked, and still to this day and through many centuries, cultures have worn things on their heads and on their bodies to emulate their gods. And this green comet is highly suspicious in timing for multiple reasons. September, particularly September 23rd of this year, is considered to be the day of creation when God created Adam and Eve that had the ability to live forever originally. And I know from my research that it appears that they are trying to return to the garden. They want to go back to living forever. You see, before when Noah was around and before his time, people it said that they lived 1,000 years. That also matches the amount of time that Christ is supposed to reign on earth, is 1,000 years. I find that interesting that those amount of times match. I find all this fascinating. And so we're going to, I don't know where this show is going to go other than we're going to do the best we can in talking about this in general. I've got so much information swimming around in my head that's unorganized at this point. But I know Shannon also um, has some related content discussion that she's going to talk about, and I haven't heard it all or any really for the most part. So I'm interested to see what that is. And then by the end of the show, we'll be reading a story from Maria and Jose. Uh, the story itself is not necessarily that supernatural, but the image, the picture that they sent, she asked me what I seen. The story talks about them going to DC, going down under DC in this tunnel, museum tunnel, and at the bottom of the tunnel is she didn't tell me what it was. She asked me what I think it is, and we're basically looking at petrified remains of an old one, because whether you realize it or not, the mountains that you look at when you see the mountains, especially some things are obvious like Devil's Tower. I think call it Devil's Tower, but Devil's Tower is a ancient petrified tree. I am absolutely 100% convinced. I've done the research on it. I've analyzed it, looked at the tree fibers as to how tree fibers grow in hexagonal shape, and looked at the root systems and everything in this Devil's Tower, which is where they made the movie. What was it? Where the aliens or the old ones came down.
I think it was an first encounter or something encounters of the first kind. Something encounters of the first kind or something like
third
that.
Kind, I think it is.
Third kind or
yeah.
That's terrible.
Exactly. And that was Steven Spielberg, of course. He's a huge occultist and magician, whatever you want to call him. And they did that there for a reason. And they know that these are petrified remains, in that case of a tree, and they're all over the United States and all over the world. It's already been proven. It's just that if you're not aware of it, it just means that you're not aware of it. And it would sound crazy, because the first time I heard this kind of talk, it sounded crazy. Like most things that I've learned. And you have to dig and dig and dig, and then one day you go, holy crap. The mountains, for the most part, not all of them, are petrified remains. And then you got these other mountains that are volcano. They call them volcanoes, volcanism. And in those cases, I think basically, well, let's think of California. You got Death Valley, you got Los Angeles or Los Angeles, you got all kinds of things out there that indicate that something to do with the old ones are there. Yet there's volcanoes and earthquakes all the time. And what is it that's truly underground that's creating that heat that causes the magma to come up and the hot water? And what's under Yellowstone? The Yellowstone, there's there's more to it. And I think that there's a possibility that the Bible is correct in saying that these spirits are trapped underground in different places around the world. And that may be what causes this. You can't, yeah, I know how that sounds, but I know one thing for sure. They don't tell us the truth, they lie to us. And we have to depend on ourselves, our intellect, and our ability together in order to discover the real truth. And the things I'm talking about, I wouldn't be saying any of them if I hadn't done substantial research and pondering and praying and consideration about these subjects. Now, before my mouth runs out, I'm going to check in with Shannon here, and uh, I think you might want to take the mic for a minute and go where you want to go with it there, Shannon.
You got it. I'm going to just briefly explain what all this is about. In 2012, in May, end of May, I was in a car accident that was rendering me paralyzed. So they talked me into surgery. And in November of 2012, I had spinal surgery, which went wrong and I almost died. Kind of wrapping up here. I won't go too much into detail about that, but they had put me on quite a bit of pharmakia, if you know what I mean. I was on a lot of painkillers from before, the actual surgery, and then so much more afterwards because I never completely healed. It actually did more damage. So all that being said, about about a year later, almost a year, I was my respiratory system was shutting down, and so I had to get off of all these pills. And in that 3 weeks of getting off of everything, which started around September 11th, believe it or not, it was right around in those couple days strands. I started getting visions, like insane visions, literally thinking it was really happening. Everything just, this is all part of my testimony. And I had so many things that I had seen that either God had given me as vision or actual memories of things that I had encountered while being in certain programs and things along those lines as a child. But one of the interesting things about this comet, which is right around the time period, because in the peak of my visions and all this stuff happening, it was right around September 23rd. And then I finally came out of all of everything at the end of September. And one of the things that, he mentions about the old ones or these fallen angels being put in prisons in certain places in the world and also outside in another dimension, there's a passage in the Bible that says, wandering stars for whom it is preserved, the blackness, the darkness forever. And it's mentioning a certain amount of these fallen ones that ended up in this dimensional darkness, which we might even consider as like an outer space kind of a thing. So in my notes, I wrote down part of what has to do with, I think, this comet, which there's a lot to it, and also about bringing the old ones back. But in my notes here, excuse me, I got to put on my glasses. I'm like, I wrote this down months ago because I've been trying to get this testimony put together. There's so much to it. It's taken me a long time to put it all together. And these are all just talking points, pages and pages of it. But in this vision, I was riding around on a dragon-like creature in this darkness, in this what we would be consider, or what they consider outer space, but it's a darkness. And I was riding around on a dragon-like creature named Baphomet. in the universe, and on his way to Earth, all the stars in that darkness were celebrating Baphomet's return and the coming of the Dark Prince. And so, alongside after that, there's a whole part where there's this cast of Hey Dude. I don't know if any of you guys are in that age range, but it was on Nickelodeon. I used to watch it all the time. And for some reason, this vision came, like, this cast was reading Revelations. And as they were reading it, it was all happening. And then the old ones had returned, which Obama was actually one, like the main giant old one. And literally it was like the big, the floods, but meeting like actual Armageddon. And there was a lot to that part too. But what I found really interesting too about this subject matter with the comet is it's supposed to be in front of the sun for 3 days. And I was raised Catholic. There's this huge thing that they believe is going to happen, the 3 days of darkness. So that's also kind of an interesting tie. But on that subject matter of Obama and the old ones, years ago, this video was, of course, so much more easily found. And now it's been like wiped off of the internet forever. I've been trying my just darndest to find it, and it's literally gone. But there's a snippet of Obama's victory speech where it's still played backwards. And we had talked about the backmasking. And I remember in the breakdown of the video I saw, it was literally speaking of the old ones, but it was the entirety of the victory speech. I could only find like 6.5 minutes of it. But
so you're not looking for the speech, you're looking for someone else's video that they did
with it all backwards, and some of the things they had pointed out that they had heard. Well, I've been listening to the part that you can find, the 6.5 minutes of backwards part of the victory speech. And there are things that are very interesting about that. There's one part where it is clear as day. Obama says, Satan brought CERN. And before that, he's talking about rider on the horse and the one putting on you and things along those lines. He also mentions Gaza slaves several times in this. But there are a lot of words that seem to be like old ones' names in certain type of language that I'm trying to look up. So I'll have the link for you to peruse, at least in this back masking thing. But you can hear plain as day, Satan brought CERN and things along those lines. And it's all interconnected of opening those keys to the pit and bringing these old ones back. And years ago too, the Satanic Temple actually came out and spoke briefly about how they believe the old ones were to return by 2025, which I also thought was very interesting. But in that video that I had mentioned that I cannot find, it literally talks about the old one's return. It brings up that literal, but it was the entirety of the speech, and I can't find it.
Well, anything you can find on that, definitely post it on the website, on our website. Yes. So everybody can get access to it, and I'll see it too. But yeah, go ahead.
What was very interesting is it really does tie into that passage of them being entrapped in this darkness, and that they have this brief time to come back when the pit opens and all this stuff. And here's this comet right in that time frame, which we've been warned about, the September 23rd, and many times. And all these visions that I had that tie into everything were all around that time of September 11th to the end of September. But the peak was at the 23rd.
That's pretty amazing. Like I said, the September 23rd this year, on September 23rd, Jewish religion believes that day is the day of creation, meaning a new creation in this case. It's like some of the work I'm doing right now on decoding the iPad goat stuff. Um, Somebody asked me the question, why New York, Philadelphia, and DC related to that subject matter we're just talking about. Well, I'll just explain why, or part of why I know it is, and that is if you go and you look at Philadelphia, for instance, and this is going to be in the update video coming soon. If you look at Philadelphia, uh, it has four. It has built into the city the image of Orion and his belt. It has the four corners. If you zoom in on the city, like from Google Earth, you'll see it. There's four big parks. Excuse me, three parks and one rotary. And if you zoom in on them and look, they're stars. They have stars in the middle of them that show you that they're. If you have any clue, you'll know that when you look at it, you say, "Oh, they're symbolizing a star." It's the four corners stars on Orion, and then his belt is also there. They built three skyscrapers, three pyramids, three skyscrapers with pyramids literally on top in the exact spot and location of Orion. This is Philadelphia. Okay. And it makes me think about how they were saying not too long ago, they were saying, we need a Philadelphia type effort. There's a lot of under the breath being said there that they're not saying. But Philadelphia is the center. It is built in the image of Orion, and it's the center spot on the belt, the center star on the belt. DC is the lower star on the belt, and New York City is the northern star on the belt. They literally built the cities in our countries in the image of the heavens. This is a fact. You can't dispute it because I can prove it, and I will prove it in my next video. But I've proven it before, like when the basilica that burned down in, I think it was France, Our Lady, Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
All of those basilicas in France are in the image. They're placed exactly in the locations that are the stars in Virgo. They have the city laid out as Virgo, the woman, Our Lady kind of thing, the image of the woman. And that's France. But they have the whole world, any area that's highly developed, they do the cities like this. They don't, they'll do it in the streets. Like you can easily see it in DC, but it's also easy to see in Philadelphia. As soon as you know you're looking for Orion's belt, it's right there. New York City's the same way. The only thing I haven't figured out is for New York is which constellation is it in the image of, and I'm not sure. I know the city itself is a temple, and that's the fact. I guarantee you could not prove me wrong.
Well, you know how you mentioned ISIS earlier? In the visions I had as well, which I had mentioned I had been part of things as a child, against my will, through various
we all have
means.
But
I also literally saw the whole story play out of Isis and Osiris, and as though I was Isis. It was a very interesting thing, and literally visually being in and part of the return of them. So it kind of reminds me too of that Victoria's Secret commercial where the angels, the whatever, are literally falling and crashing down one by one in the commercial, and they come up with they're like giant and with the angel wings and everything in their underwear.
And most people don't. Most people don't realize most of those models are androgynous.
Exactly. They are not
Meaning,
who they think they are. That's Victoria's Secret, guys.
that's the secret of Victoria, is
Yeah.
that all the models are not women. That's a fact. Just like talking about the Twin Towers a while ago. You remember the group? It was called Spice Girls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those
Never
were
watched
dudes.
them.
Yeah,
Oh,
those
for
were
sure.
yeah. Most of them. One of them I'm not positive on, but the rest of them dudes. And when they sang the song "When Two Becomes One," remember? I don't know if y'all guys remember that or not, but
I
they
know
sang
what
a
I
song
meant.
called "When Two Becomes One." And if you didn't have any knowledge, any very much, you would think they were just talking about marriage or something. Well, actually, they're talking about transhumanism and the combining of the woman and man back together into the garden, which is where all this is tied to, and that's why they did what they did with the Twin Towers. They were tearing down the old, the first step, in order to build again out of the ashes, the rising of the phoenix. And yeah, it they took the two buildings and they twisted them together into a spire, into a toroidal image, and rebuilt it like that. Um, there's there's nothing about anything they're doing like that that is, oh, they just came up with an idea. Hey, this will look good. No, it's all religion based. Their religion. It's the it's Babylonian religion, that type of stuff. It's we're there again, guys. I don't, and this is all very supernatural. So it is very appropriate topic for this channel, for this show, because there are going to be so many supernatural attributes related to it, like this comet coming that we're going to be able to see, and how is it going to play out, or what's going to happen? Is there anything going to happen, or is it just the start of a clock? You know, I don't know the answer for sure, but I know that we are now in the days. Most of the people listening to my voice will see all of this unfold in your lifetime, as long as you can stay out of the way of their hooks. The devil is a fisherman, and he likes to use hooks to get them into you because they're very hard to get out. The ones he uses have barbs, and yeah. So what else? Uh,
I'm I'm
what else?
I'm sure that
Comments real quick.
I am sure though that everyone here who's watching this channel probably understands that some more lockdowns are predicted to come here. It's going to be a little bit tougher, and this is a good thing to know, because a lot of the times when you're listening to what they're wanting of you and comply, like the people in Maui, you know, you won't survive. But not only that, you're you're giving up your rights. You're giving your consent to them doing this to you.
They're
So
basically
just
making it your fault. They
right.
like they like to make it. Hey, you could have just driven right around Bobby. I wouldn't have stopped you, but I'm gonna stand here and tell you can't go, and then you're gonna die in your car. And that's what they did. And
For those
they're
who didn't listen,
those who didn't listen got then they're alive today. Um, it's awful. That's a whole nother topic to get into, but it is directly related to what we're talking about right now. They don't do anything without it being part of the story, but all these individual events like Hawaii are, for the most part, the biggest thing is a distraction. Get people spending time talking about that. But it's also important because, for many reasons, obviously. I mean, I looked at a lot of the photos and videos and people out there talking about it. The people on the ground out there, the ones that didn't burn it live, including most of the kids in the city, that they will never admit, they're just missing. But they never do anything that isn't in part of multiple layers of plans and how they all fit in. Because Hawaii's got a day coming too, the Big Island of Hawaii, because it is in the image of the sea goat, the Cagnus. It's a constellation that's in the heavens, and it looks almost exactly like Hawaii. The Big Island itself. If you look at some different maps that include the roads on the maps, you'll see that it's a goat, and it's in the image of the sea goat, which is one of the constellations. Which is why at the beginning of iPet Goat, it shows the goat. It's tied into everything they're doing in that video is somehow tied to the heavens. And the goat that they're showing is Cagnus, or I'm not that familiar with the pronunciation of the word, but it's the sea goat. And but the Big Island is in the image. They even improved it with all the roads and everything it did to make sure it was you were able to see that it is a goat head. And then the rest of the islands coming off is the tail of the sea goat. He has like a fish's tail. If you look that up on the internet, you'll see what I'm talking about, and it'll be in my video update coming very soon on my decode of iPet Goat, which is tied to everything that's happening right now, including the comet. And my brain is spinning out of control, Shannon.
I completely understand. Like, there's so many things that we could touch on this, but
I need 10 more brains.
Right?
Or maybe 100 or 1,000. Oh, Lord have mercy.
This all still ties into the story that we have to tell today with the Under DC. So I think this is a perfect interlude time to.
Yeah, it probably is. It probably is. Let me check comments real quick. And you got the buttons over there. That was the message I sent you on the private chat. Was you handle the banners?
Oh, I got you. I did the little thumb up.
Yep. Push some of them suckers.
Okay, you got it.
I got distracted. We're going to read a story here in just a minute, and you have the ability to submit your own supernatural stories. There's only 2 qualifications. They got to be true, and it has to have some level in some way of supernatural. Like this story itself is not supernatural, but where this lady's at and what they're looking at, what they took pictures of, is supernatural. So you'll see when I read it here in just a minute. It's not that long of a story, but it's mainly pointing out something that's under the ground in DC in the point of creation location. Because that's why the Vesica Pisces with the Washington Monument going up, which represents a phallic. And then all right, nobody take pictures of me and claim that I'm doing Illuminati signs. But if you put your hands together like that and stuff, it's a Vesica Pisces, and it's what I call a point of creation. And that's why they have that there. It's because they were creating a nation when they put that up. But now the clock is running out, and now they are going to create a bigger thing, and so they have to destroy the old in order for the new to come in. And that's just the way they see it. Let's see. So make sure you go on the website and submit your stories there. I will be reading all the stories that go there. I want to hear from all of you. So, and if you haven't heard your story yet, it's just because I haven't gotten to it yet. And I will be getting to them very, very soon. Let's see. Comments. Somebody says Miss Netherlands is one of those things. Yeah. Lovely. That's about right. Miss America, Miss Netherlands, Miss Universe. They're putting it everywhere because 1, they want to make it normal, but 2, they're honoring their gods and their goals is what they're doing.
Exactly.
We're
Well, Baphomet is considered to be both male and female,
androgynous, or
androgynous.
would it be appropriate to say androgynous, or would it be what's the word when a man and a man? Oh,
Hermaphrodite.
yeah, where they have both sexes, that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. I guess that is a similar two words to describe kind of the same situation, right? Something
Mm-hmm.
like that. Because there are people that are born that way. Probably not naturally, to be quite honest. But there's so many things being put in people's bodies and foods that alters the seed that ultimately comes.
It is
Uh,
it's considered a form of sacrifice,
form of
especially if you give your child and make them transgender or
mm,
change their, that is considered a sacrifice to.
like what Will Smith did with his
Hmm.
son, and most the rest of them.
Right.
And yeah, they're sacrificing something for their God,
Right.
their God. Let's see. American White Sheep. We are told to learn the parable of the fig tree, and once you learn it, you know what time we're in. Exactly. Exactly. All right, a couple more, and then we're going to go to the story. We're on a little bit of a tight schedule today. Um, Tornado Dorothy is back. I like that name. It's kind of cool. Says a lot, actually. It has to do with the point of creation. That whole story is part of it. And one day I'm going to do a full decode on with Roz. Probably not today or next week. My hands are so full, it's incredible. But I'm happy they're full. I'm proud. This is a kind of funny. It says, "Never," and this is part of the story too. Never complied yet. I'll live with the Sasquatch first. And you say, well, that's a joke, because Sasquatch are not real. Uh,
Yeah, they are.
they are real. They are very real people, and they're they're people that have fourth dimensional capabilities. They're they have superhero powers, like they make out in the movies. How they can run fast, disappear, do all kinds of crazy, amazing things. They're remnant. God forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe they are remnant of the Nephilim. Is what they are.
Well, interestingly enough, in the book of Noah, it does talk a little bit more extensively of the type of beings that were let on the ark. And ironically enough, there was what they considered to be one or two races of demon like creatures that were more on the benevolent side instead of the malevolent side, in that kind of thing. This is just in that particular book, which is uncanonized, like the Book of Enoch.
Oh, and
But
some
it
people
does,
get mad because it ain't in the Bible.
right? But it does
It's to the
mention
Bible. Go ahead.
a pair of animals or creatures that resemble the Sasquatch. So I just thought that was
And
interesting.
also, if you go to the Vatican or look up images of it, it's right there. Go to the Vatican. They have a room
Been
that's,
there.
well, then you're familiar with the room that the whole room is a mural. Okay, of course, the whole
Yes.
place is almost like
Been
that,
there.
but
Yeah.
at the very bottom, you'll see what looks like a cave at the bottom of the mural, and there are Sasquatches sitting, looking out of the cave.
Yeah, I've been into the undergrounds of the Vatican too, which is very interesting.
Oh
Go into
boy,
that another
that would
day.
be a whole video, but you've
Yeah.
mentioned that before, and I want to go there. If you're comfortable and when you're comfortable, I want to go there in that story with you
Yeah.
because I think one day you want to tell it what
Well,
you can
that one,
remember.
that one was like one of those, like, we were out there and I got lost in the tour group with my mom. But I mean, there's different other underground stuff that we can
Oh
talk
yeah.
about too. But
What people have to realize is that the underground, when you're walking out there, what you're walking on is history. You're walking on all the previous civilizations. Not only are you walking on the land of this previous, you're walking on the bodies. You're walking on the molecules, the pieces, the dust. Because if you go out and you grab a handful of soil in your yard and you look at it, everything in your hand has once lived. Some cases it's once lived many times because we are made of that, and everything is made of that. And a lot of what has happened in the past is buried, is below the ground. I read somewhere, I don't know if it was the Bible or what, but it said when you discover the earth, you have discovered the body. Okay. And then when I first read that, I didn't quite understand it, but I understand it now. And I don't know why it stuck in my mind, but it means, well, at a minimum, it means that it's the body of everybody because that's where we all go back to is back to the soil. We are of the soil itself, including everything that's ever lived here. And a lot of these things are buried underground, petrified remains from anything and everything. Like they claim they found a petrified angel type creature looking thing underground not too long ago. Huh? You remember
oh,
that?
I said,
Yeah.
yeah, I saw that.
Hmm. And it's hard to verify if it's real, if they actually found it, because they said some coal miners were digging and they run across it, and this kind of thing. And maybe real, may not. But put it this way: everything that's ever existed here in this world is still here. It's just what form is it in? Is it in a new life? Is it living a new life in something, or is it petrified underground? Or is it
Or
like the Bible
both.
says that their spirits are underground and that they will one day return? I think that the Bible is correct. All
I
right,
know.
let's get over here to the story. Are you talking about Capricorn? Uh, yeah, some of it. All these all these constellations are heavily involved. Let's see. Let's get. Oh yeah, I'll show this real quick, and then we'll uh, move to the story here. Yeah, Esau the hairy man. Esau the hairy man.
Esau.
I've got a
Hmm.
whole video talking about that, and that's the bloodline we're talking about. That likely made it onto the ark, as the story goes. See, because most people think, well, how could they be on? How could there have actually been a boat? How could they have stayed on there so long? What did they eat? And this and that and the other. And when you realize that time was a different time, and everything operated differently, including how, like right now, it takes 365 orbits of the sun, uh, for it to be a year. I think back then it wasn't that way. Everything moved differently, everything operated differently. And so when you talk about 40 days and 40 nights, you might really be talking about, to us, what is like 3 days or 4 days. It's, I can't get into it and explain it all right now because it would just take too long and I ain't prepared. But let's see. Let's go ahead and get to our story because we don't have a ton of time.
Yeah, I
Enough. Let's
run
go
soon.
here. Shannon's gonna leave us. Okay, let's see here. Share screen. Yeah, that button. All right, here we go. Here we are. Let's blow this up a little bit so we might be able to see it a little bit better. And I'm going to go ahead and just read away. This is a story sent in by Maria and Jose. If you're just joining us, you can submit your own stories at thesupernatural.show. website. And go there and look around. The first thing you do, though, when you go there is you sign up to be a member. Anybody who signs up right now will be a founding member, and um, you'll never be charged for access to the majority of the website as it sits right now. Um, you will be a founding member, so we're going to build it up nice and good size before we even consider asking for $1 to be a member of the website itself. But if you join it now, you'll never pay anything to be a member of the base website itself ever. All right, let's see. Story. Now, here we go. Here's Maria and Jose's story. It says, take a drink of water. Okay. Hi, Daniel and Shannon. My husband and I decided to take my step grandson and step granddaughter on a trip to the caves in Shenandoah National Park for a week. For a long weekend in late September 2016, we enjoyed the interesting walk through DC and the long strip of museums, especially the Smithsonian. I remember that it was an unusual rainy weekend for this time of the year in the Northeast. The following day, our tour bus started towards the caves in Virginia. Okay, yeah, Virginia. We stopped for a lunch buffet and in the afternoon arrived at our destination, Shenandoah Valley. It had been a day of bright sunshine and blue skies and mixed clouds, almost as if a struggle in the clouds. We waited in the lobby for the group to gather for the next guided tour of the caves and finally descended the stairs and elevator many feet downward. We were introduced to many rooms in the cave that had significant features in the walls and ceilings, stalagmites, etc. Hope I spelled that correctly. Well, I fixed it for you, it's no problem. Um, it was all very interesting and beautiful. Now, my husband did not think so, as he discovered he was claustrophobic several hundred feet later. LOL. What a what a time to find out. No worries, he survived it. But I digress back to the walls. We came to the last room that had several wall openings and formations that gave a 3D effect on that space and also had a stream beneath. It was quite beautiful and serene. My grandson and I took turns taking pictures as well as the rest of the group. Our tour was over and we returned back to the bus. Later that day, we began to look over the pictures we'd taken of the Shenandoah Cave, and we were taken back when we saw my grandson's picture. Take a look at the pictures as a picture is worth 1,000 words, and tell me what you see. Daniel and Shannon. I really appreciate the supernatural show. I've been watching Daniel for over 2 years on Logic Before Authority and have learned so much. I pray for you every day to ask God to prosper you in your ministry. Love and hugs, Maria and Jose. That is very nice. Thank you very much,
Mhm.
Maria
Thank
and
you.
Jose. Thank you for writing in. Oops. This is this is one of the images that she sent, and I'm not sure if she specifically thought she seen something different than what I'm talking about. When I look at this, what I think of is like, I mean, this could be literally the heart. What comes to me is like this is the heart of an old one. You're looking inside one of the chambers or a couple of the chambers of a heart, and the this is the petrified stone that remains of it, and it probably has a lot to do with why they've got the lights that they have on it, showing it off to be red like it is, and they some of them ultimately know exactly what they're showing off here, but I'm not sure what it is, but I would say that what comes to mind is petrified remains of the old ones, the ones that were here before. And there's tons and tons. I mean, we could literally do a show on it one day and show a lot of the photos and stuff. But there's people that have done that work and showed tons of petrified trees, tons of petrified all kind of things, including honestly, how do I say this? Petrified remains of female giant genital parts
And male. I've seen those too.
and male. Yep.
Yeah.
And you say, well, that just happens to be in that shape. But then you start looking a little closer, and there's things like every human body, at least, has a dividing line that runs up the center of the body, especially down in the genital area. And it's like a straight line down in the back of the vagina. Okay. I forget what it's called right now. I'm not prepared. But you start looking at these photos and start looking for things that we know about the human body. And well, they were there. The signs were there. The line was there. And I mean, we're talking this, okay, I don't mean this in any vulgar way at all, but we're talking about the vagina of a giant. It was large enough people walk in it and go down the tunnel, down the. I
Mm.
know it sounds insane because I feel a little insane even saying it, but I don't. I'm confident that I couldn't point to one of those specific pictures and say there it is, but I'm confident that this exists. It's real. Like one of y'all guys said in the comments, there's Mud Fossil University, a
I
guy
love
that
that
has,
guy.
yeah, and he's done a ton of work, showing all kinds of fossils and even having the DNA done on it and coming back as being, well, basically human, and or human like, or that kind of stuff. It's like, it's beyond a doubt at this point. What we're talking about is real, that these things existed. Whether
And
for sure or not,
again,
this photo is one of them, I don't know. Go ahead, Chan.
all right. And also, too, a lot of the Native American stories out here, not just in the San Bernardino and San Gregorian or Gregonio Mountains. I could talk. But so many other ones that, um, oh, I lost my place. But anyway, the Native Americans believed that they were real beings. And there's a lot of lore with many different ranges in America that they really believe they were giant beings.
Yeah, and they absolutely were. I mean, there's just too much, too much. I'm I'm confident, absolutely confident. Um, Before we get out of here, I wanted to show you guys a couple of new things that we're up to. We're up to a lot of new things, but I would have to write it all down to be able to remember it and tell you. But these events that you see listed here, these are on the website. You can go to the supernatural dot show. It's not .com, it's .show. The supernatural dot show. Make sure when you're there, the first thing you do is sign up to be a member. I'll approve it right away, and then it'll give you access to a bunch of other pages that you can't see unless you're a member. And what we're doing is several things. Is we're going to be doing a 5D dragon filming contest. If you don't have any clue what I'm talking about, you need to go look at the blog, because there's a blog that's written on there and it has all the videos that we've done about the quote unquote dragons, okay, the 5D, fifth dimensional dragons, about them biting people, about them, all the footage that we have of them, which is in the realm of in excess of 2,000 videos that have been filmed, including one of y'all guys that submitted one. And we are going to include that submission in the contest. But you need to go here and you need to Um, read all about it, okay, about the contest that we're doing, because there is actually a prize that Dr. Roberts recommended, and that is a couple of options, and we might even add another option or two. But basically, the prize value is about $400. Dr. Roberts is putting up most of that, and you can get instructions as to how to go film these dragons. Basically, you just need to catch a helicopter coming right across your location, and it's pretty much a guaranteed that you're going to catch these dragons when you film. But you need to be filming in the highest resolution and the highest frame rate that you can figure out how to set on your camera or your phone. And you don't want to zoom in too close. You want to zoom in a little bit, but you don't want to zoom in too close because you'll miss the dragons. They're traveling at 2,000 miles an hour, because we're trying to learn and understand really what these creatures are and where are they coming from. So we've got that event going on. We've also got the Angel Orb uh, photo and filming event, where we're going to actually have a show going just like this one, but we're going to have uh, a number of y'all guys, how many ever it is, probably up to about 20, on here with us, filming at the water's edge somewheres or filming some mountaintops. So we're going to be filming looking for angel orbs. And if we do this enough a little bit, they'll show us some of their supernatural powers that they've shown me. Because I want y'all guys and I want everybody to know what these things are, and that they are not aliens in a little craft from another planet 50 billion miles away. It's just absolute ridiculous. You have to accept so many things as being real that you have no way of proving before you can get to the point of believing that these things come from another planet 50 billion miles away. They're not. They're from here. They're the hosts of the heavens. They're the angels. And so go there and check that one out. And then we have also the the full solar eclipse that we're going to be doing next April 8th, where y'all guys are going to be in different time zones across the country. As a guest on the show, you're going to be showing your your uh, your solar eclipse from your phone on our show, and we're all going to be live coming from our cell phones. Even me and Shannon will be showing our view from our cell phones, because there's a real good chance that either this eclipse or some other in the near future here, possibly even 23rd September, surprise eclipse, unexpected eclipse. And you know my reasons for saying that, Shannon. And if you're
Mhm.
subscribed to my other channel, you do too. But we're going to be doing that.
Theater nerd. Sorry. I started to sing Little Shop of Horrors. Sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Got
exactly.
stuck in my head.
Yeah. Little Shop of Horrors. There's something coming down. There's something coming to get you. Uh, better tell your mama. There's something coming to get you. All this kind of stuff, and it's amazing what they were trying to tell us in there. There's something coming, and yeah, on September 23rd, according to the show. And of course, if I was just based my theory based just on that one piece of information, I would be insane. Luckily, I don't. That's why you got to go to the other channel to see that kind of stuff. Okay, so we have these events going on. You want to RSVP for these if you want to participate. Because obviously, if you're just wanting to watch what happens, all you got to do is stay tuned to this channel. But if you want to be part of it and you want to be one of our camera people, because that's all you're basically doing, is you're going to be a camera person for us, streaming live video to the show. Very easy to do. You don't have to learn anything special. All you got to do is know how to click one link and type in whatever you want to call yourself, and then you come in the studio with me and Shannon, and we won't be looking at you. We'll be looking at the scenery. So you want to have your camera, push the little button on your camera that switches it so you're showing your landscape in front of you. Simple as that. That's all you got to know how to do. And there's all these things that are going on. Uh, on here and going to be coming up, and we're going to be adding a lot more. But I wanted to point those out, and let me check one more thing real quick. Um, and when you do join RSVP those things, you want to come over to the different groups. They're discussion groups, discussion topic groups, like the supernatural group right here. When I just clicked on, is this is the open topic group, meaning you can talk about anything you want to in this group, pretty much. This is where you come to talk about anything. If you want to talk about the angel orbs and such, then you would come to the angel orbs discussion group. I thought I hit back. Here we go. And, so you got that one right here, which one of you guys, as you know, have already went out, filmed a helicopter flying over a lake near you, and there were five fifth dimensional dragons flying in it. She thought there was one or two, there were five. And that's our first entry into our contest. So you are entered into the contest. And you need to go here and read the instructions on what you need to do to be entered. And then you want to come here to the group and upload your video for everybody to see. All you got to do is come here. It says share something. You just come here, type in whatever you want to say, and click on video. And then click on the Angel Orb group. That's where you want to upload it. Select that. And then you simply click on the little button here that says add a video. You upload your video, and bam, simple as that. And then you'll get entered into the contest. But I want you to go there and read it so you understand there's a few little rules or things we're asking you to do. Most of it's just to help you. And then there's the 5D dragon group as well, where you can go film the dragons, and the other one is for the angels, and we'll be doing a lot more stuff like this. So, and I need a clearer picture for that one. Obviously, that's an image of one of the dragons, and I know what you're thinking, but it ain't. It's already been proven. These things are otherworldly and fly at 2,000 miles an hour. Ain't it right, Shannon?
Right. That's right.
That's the evidence. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So go and submit your stories at the website. Sign up to be a member, because there's a lot more to the website that you can't see unless you become a member. And again, membership is free. So go sign up. Yeah. What else, Shannon?
Well, that being said, I have to get on the run here. So I know that I would love to say have a wonderful evening, you guys, and please like, share, and subscribe. Help us beat the algorithms, get more of this stuff out there. And I'm excited for the next talk that we get to touch in on some of these things, and I'm looking forward to your upcoming video on Logic Before Authority, a more in-depth look into this comet that's coming.
Yeah, and also it's not just the comet. I've decoded more of other parts as well. Of course, it's all related, but I've decoded numerous other things as well. That the more pieces of the puzzle you get put together, the easier it is to see the other pieces.
Right.
It's coming together really fast. And I know the people that made that video, I know they're watching my channel.
That's awesome.
They're watching it because they know that I'm getting it right. I've got a lot of it right.
Yep. Well, the blog that I'll be submitting here soon ties a lot of the stuff that we've talked about together in with Black Goo, Saturn, CERN, and many other things, including the old ones. So this is all going to be pretty fun. I'll have to add in some of the comment stuff.
Yes, Shannon's going to be doing blogging some here. She's got one she's working on. And we are looking, let me show you that real quick and then we got to go. We are looking for guest bloggers. Okay. I'll show you what I mean. Okay. And what you need to do. Of course, these are the current two blogs we have posted right here. You click on them and they go into detail. Now, but if you go right below it right here, you'll see it says guest bloggers wanted. Become a TSS, which is just acronym for the Supernatural Show. Become a TSS guest blogger. And y'all, if you'd like to do that, it's on the topics and realms of supernatural, of course. But you can come here and you put in your name, first name, last name, your email, and a phone number that I can contact you at, and I will contact you. And if you want to do it, and it is easy to do, I'll give you a little bit of training, show you what to do and everything. But then you will be a guest blogger. And every blog that you submit, me or Shannon one will approve it. And once it's approved, it's released on the website. And we're looking for anybody that would like to do that. And be closer part to the show and probably get to talk to me and Shannon more often and stuff, more privately. But yeah, so I wanted to mention that, and I guess that's about it. Of course, I'm sure there's 50 other things I could talk about, but I know we got to go today. So, with that being said, I guess we'll wrap up.
Yeah, what in the supernatural is going on, guys? Let's go figure it out.
A whole lot of supernatural is going on, and that is what this show is about, to figure it out, understand it, prove all things, pull back the veil, and let's see what's beyond the veil. And that's what we're doing with this show, and we greatly appreciate y'all guys. Thank you, Maria and Jose, for writing into us. Thank you, Shannon, for being here again. And we'll see y'all guys next time on the Supernatural.
Blessings. Be kind.
Be kind.
Yep.
Tell the truth.
Amen.